Hello, everybody, and welcome to another week's edition of the WrestleWatch podcast. I am Ryan here.
I'm Doug. How's
How
everyone doing today?
how are you, Doug? Yeah.
Okay. Yesterday was my birthday, so
Oh,
I went out for a bit, had a nice little time. I also went out on Wednesday for it
hmm.
because it is my 40th birthday.
Oh, wow.
So I decided that I needed 2 days to celebrate it.
That's
And
fair. Yeah.
on Wednesday I went to a Korean spa for
Oh,
about 5 hours,
nice.
and just kind of hung out there. It has a nice little food court, like 13 different spa rooms. But it was a wonderful time.
Hmm.
And then yesterday I went to the Round One arcade with my daughter,
Oh, cool.
so she had fun there, and that was a good little time. And yeah, so that's been my week for my birthday. But it's also been an interesting week for wrestling as well.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting in the sense that I feel like we've had a lot more, you know, reports on specific people who are interested in going to one place, or someone's interested in going to a different place, or this promotion's interested in them. Feels like we haven't had one of these weeks in a while.
Yeah, it feels like it's been heating back up, is the best way of putting it.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And it makes sense in the sense that I think a lot of people signed right around WrestleMania for WWE.
yeah.
So I think we're thinking about those people a lot. I also think that we're still seeing some residual from the Japanese contracts that usually end at the beginning of the year,
Yeah.
and a lot of those just haven't been cleaned up yet. So I think that's all part of that.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, what we're seeing right now, the big news I think of the week of an actual we had two jumps this week that were confirmed jumps. We'll get to both of them, and one of them is related to the Japanese contracts season.
Yes, and it's interesting how we've gotten to this point now. I think one thing that we've tried to do is we try to be like very clear on the voting, where it's like, okay, we'll take them off when we do a vote and things like that. But we are getting to the point now where we have someone like Ray Phoenix,
Hmm.
who we'll talk about later, who, we didn't, it happened right after the voting already started. And it was a question of, do we want to just wait till next week? And, those are questions that we have to go back and forth on sometimes.
Yeah.
It's like, but it's just a lot of movement right now. And I didn't think that, the time right before WrestleMania would be the time where we'd see a lot of contract movement.
Yeah, usually it's like right after Mania because it's all of the people that get cut
Uh-huh.
after Mania usually. So this it's a little bit more active before Mania than usual. And I think that I have the current pro wrestling free agency tracker of last week up on the screen, so people, if you're watching on YouTube, can see that Ray Phoenix was up at the safe jump category. I think that looking at the people up at the top, it kind of makes sense to me where they're at. And yeah, I personally am somebody that would rather we get some sort of hard confirmation. And for me, the two ways of that are either you see the person on screen or it's officially announced. Those are like the two big things. And I think this week, the two people that we're taking off, Ray Phoenix and Mina Shirakawa, fit the bill for those.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with that. And it's interesting because I think well, I guess we'll talk about Mina in a bit. We'll talk
Yeah.
about them specifically. I don't want to go into that now, but yeah, so that's our tier list if you're looking on YouTube. If not, you don't need to pay attention to it because it's gone.
Yeah. And first today we're gonna head to Japan first. So speaking of birthdays, an even more momentous birthday is coming up upon us. Possibly the most important ever. I'm sorry, Doug, but
Mhm.
it's Dreamstar fighting Marigold. They're having
Yes.
their first their press conference was April 15th of 2024. So this was right in the milieu. The time last year was when we started to get all of the news about who was going to Marigold, who was staying at Stardom, and now I think it's a good time to look back and do a nice little report card on everything regarding Marigold.
Yeah, I think we should probably do that because I guess here's the big thing with Marigold. When it launched, we saw a couple names already rumored that were going to be jumping. It felt like this was going to be like a pro wrestling Noah in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, was that 90s or that was early 2000s, right?
Yeah, but it felt like a death nail was happening, like a big exodus was happening.
Yeah, like this like Stardom was going to be the All Japan where it just lost all their talent after Giant Baba died, and suddenly this new promotion was going to be like the new number one promotion, the hottest thing in Japan. And that so far, because we originally were looking at a lot of names. We were looking at,
Yeah.
we were looking at Utami, we were looking at Julia, and obviously those two went.
Yeah.
We were looking at Mirai, who went as well, but we were also looking at Sareee and Saya Kamatani and Starlight Kid, and well, maybe not Starlight Kid.
Suzuki.
Suzu Suzuki.
Mayu Iwatani.
Obviously Mayu. Mayu was obviously the biggest one even.
Yeah.
And none of these people left. They all ended up staying.
Mm-hmm.
So what that basically, that was the first kind of sign for me. So spoiler, I'm not very hot on where Marigold and their first year.
Yeah.
And then when you actually see the first show and the promotion and what it was, this year has not really been that great.
No.
Because first of all, their champion for almost the entire year was Sareee.
Well, and to be fair, of course, she is like one of the best wrestlers in the world. However, was not signed to Marigold.
No, she was not. So right off the bat, it's like you have an entire year where you have not established like the identity of your promotion because your champion is a freelancer.
Yeah.
And on top of that, you've had a very, I guess it's fair to say, inconsistent undercard.
Yeah.
Where a lot of the talent is just really, really green.
Yes.
And is just being carried. The whole show is either really bad matches or just carry jobs.
Well, yeah,
then you might get one or two like really great matches.
Yeah, the carry jobs are usually either Utami or Freelancer.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. If you look back at like the best matches of Marigold over the past year, none of them are going to include like two people who are like Marigold, signed talent.
Yeah, versus Marigold. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the best ones. If I'm thinking they're going to be Sareee matches, obviously.
Obviously.
Yeah, that'd be the best. And then like probably here, you know what I'm doing? I'm just pulling up a cage match right now. I'm gonna run through the top 5 matches. Okay.
From Marigold for the all time. Well, I guess because I was gonna say the past year, and it's like, well, that's all of it.
Whole time.
And I just wanted to say there was a comment here from TC. Marigold is what, the third biggest Joshi promotion? Fourth, I would say. Third probably, because like I think that they're bigger than Sendai Girls and Actress. They're definitely smaller than Stardom and Tokyo Joshi Pro.
Yeah, I think that's where I'd put them too. So, all right, so I'm going to run through this. So the number one match on, according to Cage Match, the best match of Marigold is Io Sky versus Utami.
Oh, hey, wait a second. One of those people is inside to Marigold.
No, one of those a WWE talent who came in and beat Utami.
Yep, one match, left. No return.
Yep. So there's one.
Okay.
Next one, Nanae Takahashi versus Sareee.
Well, Sareee.
Mm-hmm. So once again, and Nanae Takahashi is obviously, she's like a legend, obviously.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's also one of those things where it's like, I don't know that she's necessarily signed to Marigold.
I think that she did sign, but like again, it's not like she's not a younger wrestler you're building a promotion around kind of person.
No, they're using her to get a Siri Yamaoka over.
Yeah,
who's the hot prospect that they have, and they're just kind of using her in tag matches with Takahashi. And don't get me wrong, I like that teaming, and I think Saraya Yamaoka is a really, really, really strong prospect. But it's just but once again, this is just show that's what they have right now. We're talking about someone who probably had. I don't think she didn't have a single match before Marigold. She's only had a handful since. So, and that's who they're kind of banking on right now, is this complete unknown.
Yeah. Oh, and TC, yeah, she works in the office with Takahashi. That's kind of
okay.
So it's not like I don't know if she has like a straight up wrestling contract, but she does help with what Rossy has to do.
Yes. Okay. So now the third match, we have Bozilla and Sareee versus Julia and Utami.
So that's one person that's gone.
Yes.
One person that's a freelancer, and Bozilla.
Yes, and Utami.
And Utami. Yeah, I remember watching that match, and it was a very good match for 75% of the performers.
Yes. Yes, it was. All right. Next one. Sareee versus Utami.
There you go.
Okay. Then number 5 is Julia versus Sareee.
Hey, wow, it's a match that can't happen again.
You know what? I'm just gonna keep reading through these. Let's see how long it takes before we get like a Marigold versus Marigold person. Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess, like, what was that? Nane Takahashi was against Sareee, right? That was that. Yeah. So I would say
an in freelancer though.
Yeah, so we can count Takahashi if she comes back up. I'm gonna say we can count her.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Okay. So the number 6, Bozilla versus Sareee.
Yep.
7, Julia versus Mai Sakurai.
Yep, Julie. Yeah.
Yep. And then 8, we have Nana Takahashi versus Sareee.
Okay, we're back on it. Okay.
Yeah, they ran it back. And then finally, number 9, we have Nana Takahashi versus Victoria Yuzuki.
Okay, we got one.
We got one.
So, number 9. And what is the rating for that match versus the top match?
This is a 7.95.
7.95 for that match, and then what was the top rated match?
9.05.
Okay, so there's a gap.
there's a bit of a gap. Yeah, and I think this is definitely the point that we're trying to kind of make here, is that this is a promotion that it feels like it's sputtered out the gate. They don't have anyone like on their roster that's really exciting, except for like Saraya Yamaoka, who once again is totally a prospect. Like you can't. There's nothing that's going to happen with her anytime soon. She's a straight up prospect.
Yeah.
And all these people that are in these great matches are either people that came in for one shots, were independents, or they were someone who was there for a very brief time, just to get the promotion started with the full intention of leaving within like 6 months in the first place.
Yeah.
So that's not great.
No, not a great situation.
No, that's a bad situation. So but that's Marigold right now. So my Marigold report card is, I don't know if I'm doing letter grades.
Yeah,
but maybe I'll do letter. Do we do letter?
Yeah, we do letters. Yeah, like because a Chicago Teachers Union.
Yes. So I'm gonna go. I mean, this is like a C-.
Okay. So like it's passing. So C- would have been it's passing, but not by much.
Yeah, C- or D+. I mean, it's a functional promotion. Obviously, it's the third, probably the third largest Joshi promotion.
Yeah.
And
although
I'm not saying,
they
put the belt on Utami now, so at least that's something.
And although you could say that the Sareeism shows are bigger than Marigold shows.
Yeah, you're not wrong. That's the thing. It's like they're the person they built this company around for the entire length of this promotion was like running her own promotion and doing her own shows that had a lot more hype than anything Marigold had going on. Yeah,
and now she's and we'll get to it, but she's gutting back again, trying to get the IWGP belt, which is interesting. So how about we go and hit up some of these wrestlers who either went to Marigold or stayed at Stardom. First up is Utami, who you just referenced there. What would you give as a report card for her? And I want to
I
want to
think
phrase this maybe as I have a comment here from the chat. You think Utami has regrets seeing how things went for Saya?
um no, I honestly don't. I think Otami has basically this her own little promotion here that she can kind of build around herself,
Yeah,
because there's no one else to build around. They obviously I'm sure that the minute they put the belt on Sareee, they knew that it was going to Otami.
yeah,
Like
obviously, yeah.
that was this was
Although
a story they were telling.
although it's kind of funny that it's like they didn't have Julia put over Utami.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure she'll come back and do that at some point.
Hmm.
Maybe.
Maybe, or maybe we'll
Yeah,
get another EO.
yeah, well, yeah, what am I doing here? I don't know that. I shouldn't say I'm sure of that. I absolutely am not sure of that.
Yeah, Fed's not going to let that happen.
Yeah. So, but once again, so I do think Utami, now, she obviously was really well pushed in Stardom,
Hmm.
but she wasn't, if you really think about it, her last like year and a half in Stardom really wasn't that. She was just kind of on the back burner.
Yeah,
And so maybe they knew she was like done and out the door, and maybe she's fed up. I mean, there was a lot of stuff going on backstage with Stardom at the time.
yeah.
So I'm not surprised that she left. And frankly, she's has this promotion built around her. I don't think that she necessarily has uh any regrets. I
I
really don't.
I agree with that, and I think that also. I think that some of the like when you look at the Julia pathway where she went to Marigold to help it start up and then went to WWE. I mean, it's possible that that is the Utami pathway as well. In which case, if that is her goal, she is on her way. So
Although I'm getting less and less
I'm getting less of
confident that
that
that's
too.
what she's happening.
Yeah,
I don't know that she's necessarily ready to jump over to the United States. I
I
don't get that
agree. Yeah,
impression.
yeah,
So, but yeah, so I think that she's someone I would give, if I'm giving her a grade, I'd probably give her an A minus. I think
yeah,
that they did everything correct with her, with the exception of maybe, I don't know that I would have necessarily had her lose to EO
yeah, yeah.
without, if they maybe if EO comes back and she gets a win back as champ, then I'm on board with that. Which, honestly, that would make sense to do it soon.
It would. Yeah. Yeah, and I agree with how you assess that one.
Yeah.
Uh,
So
so yeah, let's do Julia next here. So Julia is probably that was I would say that she was the biggest one that left Stardom. And allegedly that the plan was, and it turned out to be the plan was that she was going to quote unquote help them start up Marigold. She was their first champion, right? Am I
no,
no Sareee
yeah.
Sareee beat yeah, excuse me. Um and then she left almost immediately and showed up at WrestleMania 40 stuff and then was in NXT.
Yeah, this I think was a stumble out the gate, because to me this already kind of left a really bad taste in a lot of people's mouth, in the sense that she basically already said she was out of Marigold before it even started.
Yeah, that was the first problem with how the and that's like a booking decision, I suppose, a little bit more so, but yeah.
Yeah, because when you say that I'm leaving Stardom to help start up this big promotion, and she's genuinely generally the biggest star in Marigold. And you could
100%
argue,
she was possibly, I would say, top 3 in Stardom.
yeah, like yeah, absolutely. She was a major star in Stardom, but on that original Marigold roster, Julia was absolutely the biggest star of
Head
that
and
group.
shoulders above everyone else, yeah.
Yes, and to see her say, "I'm launching this promotion that I'm immediately leaving," really, it was a it felt awful. It felt like this is as I
Sinking
said,
the ship.
it's a stumble out the gate.
Yeah.
And just looking at her booking, it just really did feel like, oh, she's just here to do a bunch of jobs as a favor and then leave.
Yeah. And but then let's talk about the NXT angle of it. She just like everybody else that WWE has signed in the past year away from other promotions, she immediately gets a belt. And she was made NXT champion. She held that for a little bit of time there, dropped it to Stephanie Vacor recently. There's conflicting reports on whether she's even injured or not. But I believe that I can't remember which one it is of Triple H or Shawn Michaels is high on her. I always get it mixed up between her and Vacor because they just act like they're the same person sometimes on screen. But yeah, I would say like that side of it. I mean, it looks like she's gonna go up to main roster pretty soon. So within a year of going and leaving Stardom and then winning, essentially a brand, a promotion's top belt, and then moving up to the main roster WWE, I would say that that's been a pretty successful year, especially like again like as you were saying with the Marigold factor of that is you almost built a promotion around this person and then she was like, nah, actually I'm gonna leave immediately. Yeah. So that's a big move by Julia.
And that was known. I feel like that was known like before the press conference even happened.
Yeah.
That she was like out the door.
It was, yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's the biggest issue. So, but yeah, in terms of Julia as a whole, factoring in the fact that she's in WWE now and how she's been doing there, I will give it like from a perspective of Julia herself and whether or not this was a right move. I think it was a right move. I'll give her an A.
Yeah, same.
But in terms of Marigold and how they handled this and how they went about it, this is a straight up D-.
Yeah, this was like a failing grade by Marigold on this because like not only have you said ahead of time this person's not going to stay, this person that was the biggest star that we have is not staying for long, but you don't have your next up get put over by her, right?
Right.
Like I don't know what they were doing with that, but anyway, here's the biggest name that stayed, I would say, Iwatani.
And she was the one that a lot of people were like, oh, this is like, she's going to be the first one out the door.
Yes. A lot of people were saying or intimating things about like, she's so close with Rossy. So like, she's going to go, right? And yeah.
It didn't happen. It didn't happen. And I'll be honest. It's like, if you're Mayu, do you go now?
I mean, I wouldn't go to Marigold now,
No.
because there's two factors there. One is it doesn't look like it's a super. It is a stable promotion at this point, but it's not a perfect, well-oiled machine that looks like it's going to eclipse Stardom anytime soon. Even if we're most generous about that, right? I don't think that they're gonna get there.
Right, because once again, Marigold is, it's kind of stagnant where it's at, and Stardom has actually been doing very well lately.
Stardom is growing as a promotion right now, and we're going to get to talking about that a little bit in a moment too. So I think that if you look at the booking potential for Mayu, it's like, so yeah, she's kind of done everything she could do in Stardom, but like Marigold isn't necessarily a better situation from a booking standpoint, other than just like, okay, I guess I'll just go to this place and they're just gonna have me, hardcore Holly it. But
here's the thing.
Okay, go ahead.
That's not saying that we don't know that what her mindset is.
Oh yeah,
Maybe
no,
she really has
don't.
been under contract all this time and just
waiting it out.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I would say also, so that's from a booking standpoint, and then the money standpoint is the other standpoint here, because Marigold probably doesn't have a lot of money to play around with. Everybody was saying about a year ago, like, oh, it seems like maybe they're getting backing from WWE. Those rumors feel like they've started to fleet a little bit. So if Mayu is looking at like, oh yeah, I want to make more money off my next contract, I might be kind of done with things in Stardom anyway. I don't think that she's going to be going to Marigold as the option. Like, I think that if she leaves Stardom, she's going to America.
Hmm.
You know, like she's talked about it before about wrestling in the States. At the end of this in the past fall, she was talking about wrestling people in AEW. Um, she's been asked before about like if the money is right, would you go to America? And she was like, yeah, I would. So I think that like if she was planning to leave Stardom, I don't think that Marigold is the place she's going.
See, I feel like it might still be the place.
Hmm.
I do. It's very weird because yeah, there's I feel like we've been talking about her going to America since like going on almost a decade at this point, right? Because I mean, we were talking about that even shortly after Lucha Underground.
Sure, but like I think that her stock at this point is I mean it's she's always had high stock, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
but I think that she now has a catalog behind it to say, I am one of the most prestigious wrestlers, one of the best wrestlers of all time in Joshi wrestling and in just Japanese wrestling in general. Um, and yeah, like Io and Kyrie jumped for that matter too. Julia just jumped too. Like there are plenty of people that have done this path before her.
We might get the Freedom reunion in WWE.
We could, yeah.
That's definitely possible. Um, I do think it's interesting that she has not done has she done any of the New Japan like USA shows?
Yeah, she was on Battle in the Valley. She was in the Sumo Suzuki or Sasaki retirement match.
When was that?
That was like a month or two ago. It was the tag match with her, Yuka Sakazaki, and Hiromu Takahashi on one team versus Sumi and House of Torture.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was a month ago or so. Yeah.
Okay. Then I stand corrected because
Although that was like a special thing because like like Yuka Sakazaki being on that card is kind of points it out to you like, hey, this match is different
yeah, that
for
is weird.
Sumi's retirement.
Okay, yeah. Well, so once again, yeah, because of that, I feel like I don't know where she could end up. I mean, but that's why we've always kind of had her all over the place on the
Yeah,
tier list
and
too. She's very hard to read.
I will point out a comment from TC here saying it feels like she's being phased out a bit in Stardom, and I agree
Oh,
with that.
absolutely.
She's
Absolutely.
not in the scene for the world title. She holds on to the IWGP belt, and it's kind of just like it feels like it's like a placeholder kind of place for her. Um, she's getting challenged by Sherry at All Star Grand Queendom coming up here, and you have comments from Sareee. In the media, she was interviewed by Tokyo Sports, and by Fightful last month. Tokyo Sports was this past week, where she is building up in the media that she wants the IWGP belt, that is the top thing that she wants now, that she wants to be the one that beats Mayu for the belt. So that like the story behind the Shiri match at Sarayism was that she wanted to prove herself versus one of the best wrestlers in Stardom before she goes and challenges for the IWGP belt, and then it ends in a draw, which builds up the story there a little bit and helps Sherry's case when she's going for the belt as well. So it does feel like they're going to probably take the belt off of Mayu soon, and it doesn't seem like they're like really angling her as like a world title contender right now. So
She's Hiroshi Tanahashi right now.
she kind of is, yeah. And the thing is that like she's what, like 32, 30? Like she's not old at all.
No.
So she could go anywhere at this point. So that's my read on it. That seems like it's TC's read and a few other people's read on it. Versus your read is, well, she still could go to this promotion that kind of might have been built for her.
Well, I'm just saying she is winding down,
Yeah.
and she's been winding down for a while. I don't know that I necessarily think she's like done wrestling. And if she was gonna go somewhere else, I think I could still see her going to Marigold just because of how the ties to Rossy, and maybe this would be like her similar to what Julia did, where it's like, hey, I'll do you a I'll do you a brother and help you out here.
Yeah.
She could do that, like even if she's not staying there long,
Hmm.
I could see her do that. Like, okay, I'll make a let's have this right now.
Uh-oh.
What do you think the chances are that we see in the year 2025
I've heard
before
of
the
it.
end?
Okay.
Yeah, before the end of this year, we see Mayu in a Marigold ring.
In a marigold ring.
Yes, not even saying sign there, just in a ring, in the ring.
So first off, that would mean the chances of her leaving Stardom, because if she's not leaving Stardom, she's not going in that ring. First off,
Yes.
so adding that on top of the chances of her um, leaving Stardom and not going to AEW,
Hmm.
because if she's going to AEW, she's not going to Marigold for even
No.
one match. Um, I'm gonna say I give that like a 10% chance of happening.
I was gonna say that too, but that's my point. Is like I don't think this is like an impossibility at this year. And if we talk about like if we're expanding it out to years later, I think it goes even higher. I still just think that like I don't know when this is going to happen, when she's going to be done with Stardom. I don't know. And my hunch is it could not be. It might be a couple years, but I really do feel like when she leaves, she's probably going to at least do something in Marigold, at least once.
My hunch is that by uh my hunch is that within a year she's gone from Stardom.
Okay.
That's my hunch. But that's a
And
hunch.
you think in your hunch is that she's going to be in like the United States.
Probably, yeah. Like, I think that if she's at this point in her career where she's kind of Hiroshi Tanahashi of Stardom and could be making bucks doing new things somewhere else, like money talks a little bit with that. I would say
I will say this though. Does Mina Shirakawa going to AEW, does that make you more confident that Maya would go, less confident, or no impact?
more confident.
I kind of makes me go less confident.
Mm.
I feel like to me, like if maybe it's just me, but I feel like if they were gonna get if they were gonna get Mayu,
Mm-hmm.
and who's they've been talking about for so
They've
long.
wanted her since like essentially day one.
Yes, like that was the big thing why Stardom and Rossy were not on the same page.
Was
Or
because
not.
because the AEW guys like Kenny wanted her so badly and
Yeah,
were talking to her directly, and Rossi didn't
yes.
like it.
Yeah, Rossy and Tony Khan, that was like the right off the bat they hated each other
Yeah.
because there was that whole thing. So for me, I feel like if it was gonna happen, it would have happened by now. And the fact that Mina Shirakawa kind of happened so quickly relatively to that, and
I mean,
maybe it's
Mina's not eating up your budget. I don't think. Like she's probably getting paid better in AEW than she is in Stardom, but I don't
that
think
is
that
true.
she's not breaking the labor budget. She is somebody that is going to be positioned probably like I don't know necessarily as like a world title holder, but a TBS title holder and a world title challenger in AEW.
She'll be in like the Thunder Rosa level.
Yeah, and I think that that's a great spot for her, and it's an upgrade I think for her from, and we're going between things right now, but I think that is an upgrade for Mina from where she was booked in Stardom.
Yeah.
On the card. So I think it's a positive, and it sounds like that it's a positive ending of things with her with Stardom because they did a press conference and everything. Both sides seem happy about. Everybody seems happy about the situation. So.
Yeah. And also and real quick, is there anyone else we're going to talk about with Marigold from the departures?
No, there wasn't anybody except for just Mayo. Yeah, here. So like I would say that so first off,
there's one more I would like to just talk about real quick.
Okay.
And that's Victoria Yuzuki.
Yeah.
She was like the rookie who left.
Yeah.
I feel like I have to just go B minus with her, just because I don't know that she necessarily uh has really shown out in Marigold.
Yeah.
I don't really necessarily see her like being like this big star. I think that she was part of the best Marigold versus Marigold match against Takahashi. I'll say that,
Yeah.
but she hasn't really shown out at all. But I think going to Marigold was probably still a decent move on her part because I think she would have got just. I don't think she would have had a chance to really show out Stardom. I think she would just. There's too much good talent. She has a bigger spotlight on her not a bigger spotlight, but a more focused spotlight on her in Marigold.
She has more of an opportunity to have a spotlight on her in Marigold.
Yeah, so that's.
Yeah.
I didn't really have anything much to say about her. Obviously, there's not really much to say, but I wanted to bring her up since she was the other notable Stardom departure.
Yeah, I think that her spot on the roster and if she had stayed in Stardom would have been kind of in the high speed kind of area. I don't think that she was going any higher than that at this point. So I think that it is an upgrade for her of getting a little bit more screen time, especially with I think that Marigold has a lot of space at the top of the card.
Yes, I agree.
So yeah, I would say if we went back and said the grading on Iwatani of her decision to stay, I would say that it's I would just give it a B because it hasn't there hasn't been anything plus about staying. It hasn't been anything minus about staying.
It really feels like she's on the back burner.
Yeah.
And has been for a while. It's funny to say that because she's got this IWGP title, but
she's had great matches for the title.
Yeah.
For that matter, but at the same time, it's it's kind of like this placeholder belt that's kind of so she's a champ.
But you know what? And that's the thing. It's a lot of that booking is happening outside of Stardom's universe.
Yeah.
And it feels like since Marigold launched, that's when she's really been kind of on the back burner. Almost makes you think that maybe the people running Stardom don't really want to push Mayu, or don't really want to involve her too much in storylines because maybe they think she's leaving.
That's a possibility. It's also a possibility that if her deal is up soon, that she had signed post talking with AEW, pre Marigold starting. If she had signed a longer term contract and it's not up until around now, that would make sense with everything.
Well, when she drops that belt, I think we're going to be having a lot more discussions about Mayu.
Yeah, I think that she's going to drop it against either Shuri or Sareee. I think that that's going to happen. It's going to happen soon. But so that's why I spoil a little bit where things are on the tier list. She's staying on the tier list. We had a discussion about her this week, a reevaluation, and she's staying on the tier list because I think that this is something that I think I was really pushing for with it, was that with this belt being dropped and with this being the contract is up season, I think that it would be premature to drop her from the tier list at this point.
Yes. And I also think it depends I'll say maybe it depends who Monet wants to wrestle, Sareee or Sareee.
I think that Mercedes would have fun with any of those three who could be holding the IWGP belt soon enough.
Yes.
And so, yeah, just to recap then also as a report card on Stardom existing over the past year, I think that it's been a very good year for Stardom.
A solid A.
Solid A.
Solid A. They've been growing.
Yeah.
They've really elevated a lot of people. They've done a fantastic job of freshening people up. I think I think we need to have a discussion about Japanese promotions and having these heel stables that are so focused on interference. Maybe we need to pull that back a little bit because that seems to be across all of Japan right now.
I'm just not into the bloodline. I don't know.
Yeah, and and we got hate. We have House of Torture. We got the bloodline. It's we gotta knock this off.
Death Riders. Although
what are we doing here?
I will say that House of Torture has slightly cut back on it recently. like there was the match between Evil and David Finlay during the New Japan Cup, and the way it was booked, it made sense how the interference was being done, to a point where I was like, I kind of like this now. I don't know if it's Stockholm about it or anything, but like, I think it's just because like War Dogs are like being less heelish, so it kind of worked where they were like, oh no, but this match we're gonna bring all of our guns out, you know.
Right.
We know your antics because we did those antics. So, yeah, but that's also my opinion about your opinion about all of the heel interference stable stuff is my opinion also about everybody gangs up to catch somebody when they jump to the outside in Joshi.
Yeah, that's we different views on that.
But anyway, that's been our report card segment about the Marigold split from Stardom. So here are the quick hits of just some updates of people that are currently on the tier list that we did do a reevaluation on this week. We had Iwatani. She was a likely stay, and she's staying as a likely stay. Speaking of Iwatani, and a possible match coming up for her is Sareee. She is staying as a safe stay. That one's interesting to me. So let me just bring up my notes about this one because I had a point with this that I wanted to get to, and then I was forgetting it right before we talk about it. Yeah, so she's been doing a bunch of interviews recently. She did one with Fightful in February where she was talking about the match with Sherry that she was about to have. Then Tokyo Sports, she had one where she was talking about Iwatani. She's also stated before that she wants to do a Sareeism show in the US. And the match, the people that she mentions are all AEW performers. So it feels like there might be, if she gets the IWGP belt, I think that she might be going to Stardom soon. So that's my vibe on Sareee right now. I think that she loves being a freelancer, and she loves the fact that she, in the interview, it seems like she's delighted by the fact that people think so highly of her booking. She was taken aback by getting like second or third place in a bunch of polls this year about being best booker in the world. So I think that's possible that she wants to stay as a freelancer. It seems that she really enjoys being a freelancer and having that freedom. But she's also arguably the best wrestler in Japan, period, right now, men's or women's wrestler. So she has a lot of she can go anywhere she wants right now. So that's my take on her right now.
Yes, I agree with all that. And I think all these quick hits make sense to me where they're at. So
yeah, Street Profits gonna just get dropped for low confidence. They won the WWE tag belts, the SmackDown belt for tag champions off of DIY, and Utami staying as a safe stay for now.
Yep, all works. All right. Moving on.
Yeah, just want to give an update here. This happened this week. Mina Shirakawa had her press conference about leaving Stardom. She is going to be going to AEW. They announced it. It's I think a good sign of things of the relationship between AEW and Stardom that they have somebody that is leaving Stardom, and they did a press conference about it. It shows that both sides likely are feeling good about the move, rather than
it's
any
very
negativity.
Similar to it's very similar to Okada.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Yeah. But yeah, she's confirmed jump. I don't really have much more. We already kind of talked about Mina. We've talked about her for a while too. Like,
yeah. I just wanted to, and I wanted to quickly mention that. So there was like the way that a lot of people found out about this was because she was being pulled from other shows during Mania weekend, like the indie shows for Mania weekend. It seems that the case was that indie promoters were contacting Stardom to book her. And so once it was known that she wasn't going to be contracted by Stardom, Stardom had to call them and say, hey, so like we had to cancel this booking because we don't like have a contract with her anymore. Right. So it wasn't necessarily AEW saying no to her performing in any of these shows. It's just that Stardom said we can't honor this booking, unfortunately.
Right.
Um,
Mina could potentially do it directly if she wanted, but
yeah.
you know,
And that reminded me that we had a question here. I don't know if you have an answer for this. We had a question in the chat a little bit earlier of what three matches on the Indies are you excited for the Mania weekend cards?
oh God.
I don't know if you want to think about that and maybe give an answer a little bit later in the show, but yeah.
I don't have much. There was because okay, what was the who's Bozilla facing?
Oh, Bozilla is facing Megan Bayne.
Okay,
It's
Bozilla versus Megan Bayne.
yeah,
I am curious on that match. Here, I'll tell you. We'll talk about this one at the end. We'll save this at the end.
yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So next up we have speaking of Mina Shirakawa, we have Mariah May. There's some rumoring is the best way I'm gonna phrase it about her contract possibly being up this year. That would put it as a 2-year deal signed during the summer of 2023, which does kind of line up with what was being said about her waiting a little bit until they started the Timeless Tony Storm storyline to actually debut in AEW. It's being reported that they don't like people like Sean Lost Sapp don't know if she has any options on her contract or not. So it's possible that AEW has options on it. It's possible that it's a 2-year deal. It's possible that her contract's not actually up this year. So with all that being said, Doug, where do you give the odds of Mariah May not being in AEW by the end of this year?
Well, this is where I kind of go to my old flow chart,
Ooh, the
and I don't
flow
need to
chart.
necessarily go through it step by step, but I will start by saying this: AEW is interested. AEW said they want to retain her.
Yes.
Okay. So the question is, in that situation, would AEW pay more than WWE?
I think they would.
I think they would too.
Because
Now,
and I will point out why is because of course they have built a lot of the division around her. At times, she was the world champion. She got a match on their biggest show of the year as the world champion. I think that or winning the world championship. I
yeah,
think that's a lot there to say. You
I
know.
agree. I agree. I think that is a. I think they want her and they want to invest in her.
Oh, and also signing Mina, which I mean, I think that sometimes people put a little bit too much stock between the kayfabe versus the backstage, possibly. But hey, that's somebody that's worked with Mariah before that you're bringing in.
Yeah, that's part of it. And then, so then here's the other question I would have. Do I think that Mariah May would take less money to go to WWE?
I think it's possible.
I think it's possible too. I really do. I think that she is someone who maybe wants to just go to WWE and always wanted to.
Yeah.
So for that reason, she's one that I went lean stay,
Uh-huh.
but I'd be comfortable with going toss up on her, to be completely honest. I don't think WWE is going to outbid. I really don't. But I'm not exactly sure if Mariah May is going to uh, you know,
Require
take
that.
the better offer. Yeah.
Yeah. So my thought process was pretty similar on that, but also I factored in the fact of we don't know for certain that her contract will be up this year. So I tempered my view of where to place her due to that. I do see her as someone who would be tempted to take a lower contract to go to WWE. She is somebody that is very ambitious with where she sees herself in the pro wrestling landscape, and probably I would say at this point, rightfully so. Um, like you win a world title at a big stadium show, like that's ambition and that's right to be so. Um, I think that she fits the bill of what WWE is looking for in their women's talent. Um, I don't think there's some people that were saying, well, they're going to probably just send her to NXT then, and I was like, no, they would not send Mariah May to NXT. at all, unless they were trying to prove a point. But then at that point, it's like, why are you even trying to sign this person?
I
Um,
mean, they might.
but like,
I'm just saying they might.
I just don't. I don't know. So I would say for now, I would put her as a safe stay for now. But I think that if we hear more information, I would definitely go up the tiers quickly.
Okay, I can
Uh,
accept that.
and then
But
we have a comment here. We have two comments here. Mariah's going to get a bag either way. I agree.
I don't.
You do not.
I don't think that WWE is going to give up. I don't know that WWE is necessarily in a situation where they feel that they need to throw the bag at Mariah. They might just give her. I'm not saying she's not going to. They're not going to give her like a tier one NXT deal, but I think it's going to be I don't think it's a situation where like it's the difference between you know getting a bunch of money from like Kevin Owens, for example, who literally was looking at like life-changing money from either company, and they were both fighting for it.
Yeah.
I think that AEW will offer Mariah May a significant contract, and WWE will offer her a contract. And I don't know that like it could be a situation where the AEW one is like twice as big. That wouldn't stun me at all.
Well, I would point out also that, of course, something that we've noticed this past year is anybody that jumps to WWE gets a title reign immediately. So,
Yes.
I mean, if she goes to NXT, she would almost immediately get that title. If she goes to the main roster, I could see her getting one of those two world titles immediately too.
I mean, she basically got that deal, that treatment in AEW.
She got
too.
that. She got that exact deal in AEW already. Yeah. She, as TC says in the comments, having the best women's storyline in company history, arguably one of the best storylines in company history. Period, I would say, and also probably the best storyline of last year. And piecing out while your value is at its highest would be a smart way to go about things. I think that she's lined up her value perfectly.
Yeah, no, she absolutely made the right move. Like she's doing it very, very intelligently.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of, okay, what does she intrinsically want? Does she really is she someone who just really wants to point at the WrestleMania sign?
Maybe.
And she'll take a pay cut to do that? Or is she someone who will work her way to just increasing her value to the point where she's not making concessions to go to WWE, but WWE is making concessions to get her. Because I think that's the difference in my opinion. I think that she is someone, and I say this for most of the talent, they should not be making concessions to go to the promotion they want to go to. When you do that, that's when you lower your value. That's don't blink. You're blinking. Don't blink. Just know your value, know your worth, and don't settle. That's generally my belief.
So to reveal where she is going, she is rejoining the tier list as a likely stay at the moment.
I think that's a little too I think I would go a little higher. I'd go either lean or toss up.
Okay. And just as a reminder, this is, I think, one of the first people who has been removed from the tier list before as a confirmed jump, who is now back on the tier list.
Okay. Look at this. Look how long we've been around. We're doing this. We've been around for nearly entire cycles.
Yeah. Saraya is next up here. She's currently not on our WrestleWatch tier list. She was in AEW, and well, she's not so much anymore. Saraya has now parted ways with AEW. Her contract was due to expire towards the end of this year, but the two sides mutually agreed to end it sooner. AEW had given Saraya time off following it seems like a kind of a bad breakup. She wanted to sort things out. And Sareee was quite positive when speaking about AEW on her podcast's first episode. When explaining the decision, she said, "I got to thinking, what is there left for me to do in wrestling right now? Right now, there's really no storylines where I would fit in." Saraya has not wrestled since November. WWE previously had released her because they could not medically clear her to perform for the promotion. She's also been like when people have asked her in interviews since then, would you go back to WWE? She's like, well, yeah, sure, but it's kind of like a fleeting kind of answer. But she's generally positive about AW and WWE for that matter. So Doug, first off, I guess is the way that I would frame this is first, do you think that she is just retiring or semi-retiring versus do you think that she's trying to go to WWE?
So I will say this. First of all, I get the impression that she feels like she can't keep up anymore for whatever reason. Whether she just feels like the talent's got too good in wrestling, and they just it's a different world, or maybe she has injury issues and she just can't keep going in that regard. But for whatever reason, it's very clear that AEW it doesn't really see value in keeping her around anymore, and they kind of let her know that she's going to be going. Do I think that she's still going to wrestle? I kind of do. Maybe not on like a full-time basis, but she hasn't since she came to AEW, she was never wrestling on a full-time basis to begin with. And the rumor was always that AEW like offered her like a really insane deal to come. Like really, really insane. To the point where a lot of people thought that she was like probably the most overpaid person in AEW.
She got, from what I recall, when this her extension thing happened the last year of her contract, that one of the sticking points was, well, you're being paid a lot of money right now.
Yep. Yep, she apparently was. So I assume that what happened, and then she took a pay cut eventually, right, for this extension.
For the extension, for this year extension, she did take a pay cut.
Yeah, and at this point, I assume they said, okay, well, we're kind of done with you, and they did, and now she's gone. I think that she can I could see her getting like a WWE Legends contract or something like that. Or even if it is just working. I think
that though that those would be things that are outside the purview of what we do here on WrestleWatch.
Right. Do I think she's going to get an actual contract to wrestle again in WWE? I don't.
I don't either, and that's why I voted for low confidence.
Yeah. But here's the thing. I could see her because she was already doing like non in-ring stuff in WWE for the longest time. Like she was like
general manager, yeah. And then at a point they decided to just cut her.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't use her in ring. So
It's hard to say. I'm gonna go toss up because I think they love to just bring these people back, even if it is just to be like a non-wrestling role.
I think that
would that count if they signed her to be a general manager, would that count as a jump?
Well, let me review how we have ruled on that in the past. We do allow for announcers and managers to be on the tier list.
Yeah, I think I would,
but not.
I'm gonna go toss up for now.
Not backstage workers though.
Right? No. This wouldn't be backstage. This would be
on screen.
She'd be on screen. I think she would be on screen.
My vibe is that her comments seem to point in the direction of that she is doing some soul searching and doesn't want to be involved with wrestling right now. or
she doesn't know if WWE's interested.
It could be that too, but like I don't think that I would not understand why Tony Khan would cut her then, or agree to end the contract that is still gonna go until like September of this year, if she was just gonna immediately go to WWE.
I mean, does she really? Is it gonna hurt AEW if she does?
Not really, but like it just, like if he put up such a fight about Rey Fenix.
Well, Rey Fenix is actually, I don't know. Ray Phoenix is not Saraya.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I would. Yeah, but I see what you're saying. I really do.
Like it doesn't like what she's saying doesn't necessarily align with a she is just leaving so she can go to WWE immediately uh outlook.
Hmm.
So that's why I just don't think that she should be on the tier list right now. That's my read on the situation. There was a lot of people that felt that way. When we look at the grand scheme of all of our lovely WrestleWatch committee, it is likely stay where she is going to be added. And we have TC in the chat say, I could see them bringing her in for the Hall of Fame or as an agent or whatever. And yeah, I don't discount that she could come in to do like a like a surprise moment, a Royal Rumble appearance, a Hall of Fame induction, or anything like that. And this is a similar reason why I don't think that Nikki Bella should be on the tier list, is because I don't see them signing her to a full-time deal.
That's fair.
And it's not a knock against her. I think that she still has something to give to wrestling. And I hope that things go well for her. It's just that I when we're looking at what WWE is looking for right now, I don't think that it's going to be trying to sign her to a full-time deal.
Yeah, I that makes sense to me. And also, just a heads up, I am putting together a little list. I do have a little list of matches for WrestleMania weekend that have piqued my interest.
Ooh.
I will review them at the end.
Okay. So next up here is Alexander Hammerstone. This has been an interesting one happening a little bit in the background here. So Hammerstone was with TNA he until recently. WrestleVotes, which has kind of questionable accuracy, but seems to know some things about WWE, reports that WWE is interested in him, but that might be because of people backstage at AEW have been trying to push the company to sign him. We also have MLW kind of wants him back, but people like Sean Ross Sapp say that they would be surprised if he would go back to MLW given how things ended with him there. Allegedly, Hammerstone wants to go to AEW, but it doesn't seem like they're biting hard at signing him. Again, there are some people, if you're watching on YouTube, you see a picture right now of him with MJF, who are pushing for him to get signed by AEW. So, Doug, I'll just throw the ball to you here on this one. Do you think that Hammerstone is somebody that AEW would sign or WWE actually is interested in? Or do you think that WWE is just saying that they're interested? What do you think's going on here?
Okay, so first of all, let's just go with this idea. So right now there's this idea that Hammerstone wants to go to AEW over WWE.
Yeah.
All right. So let's just assume that's true.
Flowchart that. Yeah.
Yeah. Assuming that is the case. We have to ask ourselves, why would that be the case? Why would someone want to go to AEW over WWE? And I think that it's a pretty clear reason why someone would want to do that. And honestly, it makes sense for Hammerstone why he'd want to do that. Do you want to take a guess at why someone would want to go to AEW over WWE?
Two reasons and specifically for him is money and friends.
Yes. And I'm looking at the first one. I think if he is someone who says, I'd rather go to AEW than WWE, it's probably because he is looking to get the most money out of this contract. And it makes sense because he's someone who's been sticking around in MLW and stuff like that because he wants to he's holding out for money.
Yeah.
And that's why he does what he does. Yes. And do I think someone like MJF is probably pushing for him? Yes, I do. I think I would love it if MJF brought in Richard Holiday. Like, I think he'd be fantastic with MJF, those two.
Mm-hmm.
But for that reason, I totally can see a situation where he is trying to go to AEW. Now, I don't see a lot of people talking about this. I want to bring this up.
Okay.
Is it possible that the WWE's interested thing is a rumor that was started by Hammerstone himself in order to get AEW interest?
That's possible too. I think it's possible that WWE's interest is either that or them just saying that because AEW people somebody in AEW is trying to get him hired. Not necessarily that AEW is interested, but that people want him in AEW.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. Because of that, um, I think that I think he genuinely isn't going to be staying in MLW again. He might if he doesn't get the offer that he wants, and he might just hang out there longer. But if I think he's going to go somewhere. I think it's his time. I think he's probably going to either end up in uh, as I'm thinking about it now and like going through this whole process in my head, I think he's probably going to either go in WWE or he's going to go to AEW. I think one of those two. I don't see him going to TNA. Well, I guess he could, but not this current TNA. So I'm going to go either toss up or lean jump.
Um,
I
I
think I'm changing my mind a little bit on this as I talk it through.
I think due to your point of it's possible that WWE doesn't even have any interest in him to start off with, that AEW management doesn't seem too keen on it as a concept right now.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing with him because AEW already has they already have the murder machines.
They already have a lot of hymns.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like they don't really need him, but WWE, loves having hymns.
I mean, like, and it's also like, what's he gonna do in AEW? Just a retread of the Wardlow thing?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know the dynamic of. I believe their faction was Dynasty in MLW.
Yes, it was Dynasty.
It seems like it's like pretty boy asshole kind of shtick. Um, I could see that working with MJF as a thing. I think that his character has progressed a lot beyond that shtick, though. That part of the shtick. Um, so yeah, I'm not sure about it personally. So I'm gonna say I don't have a dog in the game on this one on where to put him.
Okay.
I'm gonna say low confidence at this point.
All right. And what did the this is honestly this is one where almost any answer could be correct.
So the committee went with lean stay, and I think that is a tempering of your position essentially.
Yeah. I don't. I mean, that's the thing. It's like I lean stay to me says that he's going to stay independent and not sign anywhere.
Yeah, stay independent. Maybe go to MLW full time, which is kind of when you think about it, that's kind of like the arc that someone like Dijak went on.
Yep. So we'll see where what happens with him. I think we'll be reviewing him again at some point.
And then the quick update on Rey Fenix. It was like a video promo thing, but a teaser. But he has appeared on screen on WWE now with his name, and he will be appearing on screen live next week, which is when they go back to America, which is what I thought was going to be the case anyway. So here we go. He is now a confirmed jump.
Yep. So that's fine. So then our tier list, we'll run through this real quick. This is the new updated tier list. For safe jump, we have Hikuleo and Josh Alexander. Likely jump, we have Malachi Black and Nikki Bella. Lean jump is Ninja Mac, B. Priestley, Miro, and Jeff Cobb. Toss up is Michael Oku, Bishop Dyer, Cedric Alexander, Good Brothers, Kevin Knight, Josiah. Lean stay is Joe Hendry, Samantha Irvin, Matt Cardona, and Alex Hammerstone. And then likely stay AJ Styles, Mayu Iwatani, Danhausen, Alex Windsor, Beth Phoenix, Gabe Kidd, Indy Hartwell, Leon Slater, Persephone, Mariah May, and Saraya. And then for safe stay, it's Sareee, Utami Hayashishita, Shinsuke Nakamura, Tam Nakano, Nixon Newell, Sami Zayn, Kofi Kingston, and Xavier Woods.
Just wanted to give a quick mention about Ninja Mac. He's going to be on that Junior Genesis card. I think it's a tag match with Mao, who is also getting a little bit of interest from people about possibly going to New Japan.
I actually I have 5 matches that I have circled for WrestleMania weekend.
Yeah.
and Ninja Mac is on one of them.
Hey, there we go.
All right, so these are the 5 matches that I'll probably go through these. What I'll probably do the week before WrestleMania, I will just kind of because a lot of shows don't even have matches announced yet.
Yeah.
I will I'll put down if you were there that weekend, like this is your path that you need to
This is where
follow.
you should go.
Yes, this is what you should do. And now, uh, so Ninja Mac versus Mascara Dorada. That's a
Mm-hmm.
match. That'll be a good one.
That's a hot one.
Yes. Um, this one is more. I just out of
Curiosity.
curiosity. Yeah, we have Miyu Yamashita versus Natty Neidhart in
Yep.
Bloodsport.
That one is one that I have circled as well because I don't know what's going to happen with that match, and I'm very curious.
I know we have Luke Jacobs versus Michael Oku.
Yeah, I'm surprised that they're doing it in Vegas, but also not surprised at the same time.
Yes, and Megan Bain versus Bozilla, which I already said.
The hottest match of the weekend, I think.
Yes. And then we have Masha Slamovich versus Suzu Suzuki. Very interested in that.
Oh, that one's interesting. I'm surprised. Do you have that tag match with Masha Slamovich circled?
Yes, that's the other one. So that one is going to be it's Masha Slamovich and Konosuke Takeshita versus Miyu Yamashita and Shinya Aoi.
That one's a fun one.
Yes, that'll be fun. And then there's a couple others that I'm kind of got a little morbid curiosity with. I kind of curious to see what Joey Janela versus Sabu looks like.
I'm curious.
I'm sure it'll be awful. But
that reminds me of the what is it, the combined 500 years Rumble or whatever it was.
Yes,
that's another one I'm interested in.
The 55 and older match.
Yeah.
I'm curious on what Minoru Suzuki versus Butterbean is going to be.
Yeah, that's one that TC put on the chat here.
Yeah.
And doesn't he also have a match with Yoshihiko?
Let me see.
This weekend, I believe.
He's got a bunch of stuff. Suzuki's getting some work this weekend. Let me see. He's got the Butterbean. He's wrestling Adam Priest. Kevin Blackwood versus Leon Slater. That'll be good too. Yoshihiko. Yep. So that's
DDT.
That'll be a good one. That's on the DDT show at 3 p.m. I think was that on Thursday night.
I'm very intrigued on how that one's gonna go because
it's Friday.
I've seen so many Yoshihiko matches, and usually it has to be somebody that is like a little bit more agile. You know?
Yes.
So I'm very intrigued to see how Suzuki does that match.
Minoru Suzuki versus Matt Tremont. I don't know about that.
Do you think that he's going to be the MVP of the weekend? He's got a lot of matches.
He does. I mean, a lot of people do. Zack Sabre Jr. is on there a lot, but he doesn't have a lot of matches announced.
Yeah.
I think the only one he's got is the one called Manders, and then the Kid Bandit match at Effie's show.
The Kid Bandit one is going to be interesting, I think.
Yeah. Honestly, I thought Kid Bandit around still? I didn't even know Kid Bandit was still wrestling.
I think they're back for a little bit.
Okay. Well, good for them. All right. So I think that's it then.
Yeah, so 2 things just to note is, of course, please subscribe to us on Substack. If you go to Substack, WrestleWatch.substack.com, you will get an email that allows you to submit nominations for us to review every week here on the WrestleWatch podcast. We're also on Twitter and Blue Sky and here on YouTube. Please subscribe and like us here. And also, just as a reminder here for the birthday boy, I wanted to ask you, do you have any WrestleWatch related birthday wishes? Maybe a talent you'd like to see jump or anything like that? Somebody you want to see stay?
So, okay, over the last week, I've been rereading parts of the Young Bucks book.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember in there, they said that the Young Bucks and Cody really pushed to get an ownership stake in AEW.
Yeah.
And then Tony just wouldn't budge on that. He's like, that's a non-starter. And I think it would be really fun and interesting and good for wrestling if by when the Elite's contract is up, and if they can line it up with a bunch of other people from like that are like, let's say the Elite and Cody and Kevin Owens, a bunch of people line up their contracts, and now they're in a situation where they have enough leverage. They try to start their own company with a distributor that they have the ownership stake in, and we have a third major promotion.
Interesting.
That's my wish.
I thought you were going to go the direction of they make their own PWG.
I want bigger. I'm going bigger than that.
Okay.
Yeah. I also would like to see more wrestlers run their own shows. I want Sareeism with American wrestlers.
That would really intrigue me.
Yes. Specifically with like, not just talking like, Effie's Big Gay Brunch and stuff that happens at GCW. I feel like we should be in a situation where, like I don't know, like the big retirement shows, like kind of like how Ric Flair had his final match as his own little thing.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of wrestlers who could just fill up a stadium with their final match and not have it be tied to any wrestling promotion, and just they own it, them run it themselves.
Yeah.
That's what I like to see. That's my thought.
Well, with that birthday wish now in the ecosystem, maybe it happens.
Mhm.
And with that, also, I think we're done here for this
right.
week's episode of WrestleWatch.
Okay, everyone. I'm Doug.
I'm Ryan. Thank you all for tuning in. And what do we say here?
I don't know. We say whatever we want.
Stay spicy.
Well, staying spicy. I took that from the what's that guys? The Dune podcast guys.
Oh, really?
Dune. Yes. So I stole it from them.
Oh no.
So shout out to them. They don't care. I don't think they've had a podcast in 3 years. So
Oh.
they don't exist anymore.
Oh, well, find